I think as humans, we sometimes forget that we come from water, that it's not a foreign space. We spend our first 9 months in water. We're born from water into light, sound, color, breath. As we become forgetful of water, we lose a connection to the planet and to ourselves and to each other. We are a species of a blue planet, of an ocean planet. It should never have been called planet Earth. It should always have been called planet Ocean. I grew up on a horse farm outside Pretoria, and I've been surrounded by wilderness and nature my whole life. Growing up on the farm, we had one swimming pool, 2 rivers, and 2 dams. And between these bodies of water, my sister and I dreamt of being mermaids. And we would hold our breath and dive down into this dark, brown, murky water in the farm dams, disappearing from sight, and my mom would more or less have a heart attack seeing her daughters disappear. But down there, even though we could hardly see anything, we lived in this dream world of being able to spend time underwater and move like mermaids do. I was a water baby and would grow up to be a water person. From this dream of being mermaids as small girls, my sister and I, at the end of my high school time, got the opportunity to do our scuba diving certificate together. And I got in the water with this tank on my back and dropped down to the bottom and felt so uncomfortable and so ill at ease, and it was so noisy, and we wanted to move like we knew how to move in water, and we couldn't with this restriction. And I was so disappointed. I felt like everything I'd ever dreamt of was a lie or wasn't attainable because I couldn't move like that underwater. And I moved to Sweden when I was 19 to study. During my studies, I met a very eclectic and interesting man who said to me, "Have you heard about freediving? Diving on one breath without equipment." From the moment he said that, it was like this exhilaration and excitement. He explained the basics to me, and I took one breath, and in this dark fjord in Sweden, I swam down onto this ledge in the silence, and it was as if everything made sense and I had found home. It's been a while since I've dived deep out in the middle of nowhere, so I'm just excited to get in the water, take that one breath, take a couple of kicks, and just drop down to where everything is quiet and makes sense again. I thought I could never hold my breath for more than 5 minutes. That's impossible. And then a few months of training, of lung stretching, of training meditation, I'm over 6 minutes. The more we spend time underwater, the more our body learns and remembers and understands this mammalian dive response. It's in all of us. And freediving shows us that. From the second your face touches the water, your heart rate slows down. We have the same response in our bodies as happens in the bodies of whales and dolphins and seals. We have a mammalian dive response that is completely kin with these creatures. What is it that makes this possible? Is there a gene? No, there's no gene, This is in all of us. Those deep free dives are so much about how you breathe before you go down, and then once you go down, not thinking about anything except the kick, the equalize, relax. The kick, the equalize, relax. After a few kicks to get you down from the surface, you get to a point of negative buoyancy where you're not floating anymore. You drop into the depths. And we call this the free fall. And I think the free fall is one of the things that kept me in competitive freediving for a long time. There's an allure in letting yourself drop into the ocean, in letting go. Your body notices the rising levels of carbon dioxide in your blood and responds in the same way that whales and dolphins do. Blood plasma shifts into the membrane around the alveoli in the lungs to protect them from this high pressure situation. The spleen constricts to half its original size and squirts this oxygen-rich water into the bloodstream. And we become more and more like our aquatic selves. Sometimes halfway back up, you start feeling the urge to breathe and your body actually starts responding, causing contractions. And it's a place where self-talk and changing the story and picking the story you tell yourself on the way up. I've got more than enough oxygen left. My mammalian dive response is at its strongest right now. And once you understand that your body is the cousin of dolphins and whales, I can keep going further than I thought I could. The very first time I felt that my ability as a freediver was greater than just competition. On a trip to Mozambique where I was teaching freediving, we were surrounded by a pod of over 100 spinner dolphins. I just kicked my way down. I was just surrounded by these animals watching me, interacting with me, circling me. I got back on the boat and the skipper said to me, "I've never seen that. I've never seen them play with someone or interact in that way." And it was as if all those years of training, of swimming up and down on a rope, it all made sense. And in that moment, being invited into that group of agility and life with these dolphins, there was just no going back. It almost became like a drug, this need to experience this with the animals in the ocean, where every day you're out on the boat, it's like a safari, except you get to come out of the car.
So South Africa sits between what humans have described as the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. So one side's warm, one side's cold. Warm water gives you high biodiversity and low abundance. So there's lots of different kinds of animals, but the Atlantic side gives you low abundance and higher biodiversity. The diversity of opportunities in life here is amazing. You can go from white sharks to tiger sharks and bull sharks, to killer whales, to humpback whales, to penguins, to seals. I can do that all in Cape Town. Spending time on land, it can be very restrictive. You work in 2 dimensions. There's fences and roads and rules. But the second you develop the skills to be able to move freely in the ocean, it's open for as far as you want to go. There's no fences, and you can go anywhere you want.
We're just getting the boat loaded up and ready to head out of Simonstown Harbour, south past Cape Point, all the way into the deep blue water to see what we can find right out there in the wild, wild ocean. It's always an incredibly special feeling when you come out of False Bay and you see this peninsula just breaking out into the ocean and the waves crashing up against it. It's the most majestic and inspiring view. And it truly is the Cape of many names. Cape of Storms, Cape of Good Hope, Cape Point. Today, it's the Cape of Good Hope.
Okay, so do we want to go, I'll bring the camera first and then...
Yeah. So we've traveled far enough south of Cape Point to hit the blue water line, and it's just 400 meters deep. We've put the buoy in the water, and we've dropped some rope down and a weight at the bottom, and we've got a mako shark around the boat. We've got a blue shark, a slightly bigger blue shark than normal, which I'm really excited about because I've only seen small ones here before. And chances are, while we're out there, more sharks will start surrounding our buoy. So it's a wild ocean. Anything can happen. Amazing. 6 blue sharks. 2 of them big enough to have little pilot fish following them everywhere. So beautiful. Over 100 million sharks every year are killed, partly for human consumption, partly for very unnecessary uses. But you also need to be aware where your fish comes from. If somebody cannot name what the white fish is in your fish and chips, ask them if it's shark. It more likely than not is. There are so few human injuries or fatalities from shark attacks that we have no right to think that we have the allowance to hurt them in any way. outside of this little sliver of ocean that surrounds our coastline, there's these vast expanses, tracts of ocean that belongs to nobody and therefore is not controlled or protected by anybody. This is the commons. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boats out every day in the high seas, fishing, 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 with nobody watching. This is truly the tragedy of the commons. The fact that we are effectively fishing more wild fish than the ocean has time to replenish. If we keep going the way we are going, conservative counts will say by 2040 the oceans will be empty. We are literally eating the ocean out of life.
"99 kilograms of dead sharks, rays, and fish will equal 1 kilogram of prawns that you'll eat at a restaurant." Most seafood is not sustainable. They will sell you anything, and you have no idea where it came from. You got to either catch it yourself or buy it from a fisherman on the docks. The ocean is under huge pressure, and there's so many species that you can't eat anymore. It's probably safer to stay away from it.
All the plastic that goes into the ocean through salt water and sunshine gets decomposed and breaks down into smaller pieces. These creatures that live in the ocean start eating these small, bright, flashing pieces of plastic that looks like small fish or plankton and starve from a lack of nutrition when their stomachs are full of plastic. We can't clear up what's already out there. Climate change is a complicated topic when it comes to ocean degradation. The rising of temperature affects the pH balance in the water. And as this acidity rises, it becomes impossible for certain creatures to survive.
I've seen it myself when you go to find things like the sardine run and other normally predictable wildlife events that have now either slowed down or stopped or have shifted their time in the month. And it's all due to water temperatures.
Go, go, go.
If you're a whale or a dolphin or a gannet, it matters to your life if the sardines are going to come or not. And that's going to cause a lot of creatures to go extinct in the future.
As climate change brings its forces of destruction, of changing climate, of storms, of rising temperatures, of falling temperatures in other places, our greatest risk is the loss of our ocean. When I decided to stop competing in freediving, I wasn't prepared for the amount of heartbreak and challenge I would see in the oceans. The more I saw of what's at risk, there was no turning back. There was no closing the door and saying, well, that was fun. I'm going to go back to some other life now where I live out my days doing something that'll make me a comfortable living. There was no way that could be an option anymore. And coming to that very, very strong conviction of wanting to be involved in solutions, wanting to be involved in a future where dolphins are swimming free, where whales aren't starving because of plastic in their stomachs. If I want to live in a world where all that continues to exist, I have to be involved. It is not easy starting, running, managing a nonprofit. It is hard. I would not have been in any way able to bring I'm Water to where it is today or do the work I do without Peter, my partner, being beside me and saying, yes, this is what we need to be doing.
I have all these water skills,
I love being in the water anyways. The ocean's such a playful place.
His energy in the water is exactly right for capturing but not antagonizing the creatures we swim with. Oftentimes I'd dive down and the dolphins would start swimming around me, and then suddenly they'd notice Peter and just like, "Foo!" and they'll just like shoot away, and suddenly you've got like 5 dolphins circling him, and I'm like, come on, guys, come play with me.
Once I met Hanli, I saw that there's so much potential to be underwater, kind of bringing that environment to the world above the water, because people don't understand what's down there. And when people don't understand what's down there, they're not really going to take care of it.
This area is a complete no-take marine protected area. What that means is that no fishing, no crayfishing, no extraction at all from the ocean is allowed. The ocean is unbelievable. If we just leave it alone for a little while, it'll replenish and it'll recover. I think if we're going to have a winning chance to preserve our oceans, we need more areas like that, more marine protected areas. The 7-gill sharks that are residents here, even though they are an apex predator and can hunt seals up to my size, there hasn't been any incidents of them showing aggression towards humans. Outside of here, they would become the victim of fishing. This is my favorite place around the peninsula to go diving. This is our blue backyard. It's less than a 20-minute drive to get here, jump in our wetsuits, grab mask and fins, and go out and explore an incredibly diverse ecosystem. Some beautiful kelp forest environments, maybe a couple of small sharks, maybe a couple of 7-gill sharks, and just enjoy the quiet that is below the surface. The first 5 meters we swam away from the shore, I saw this shy shark behaving unusually in front of me, so a small little shy shark. And I actually got my hand on her, and as I turned her over, she was busy birthing an egg. They actually give birth to eggs that tie onto the kelp, and the little egg was half in, half out of her. So we let her be to finish that process, but oh my gosh, incredible. I've never, ever, ever, I've seen shark eggs, but I've never seen one in the process of being birthed. Water is this kind of many-branched but very clear vision organization where everything is around reconnecting people with the ocean. Open up and they send out a feather to catch food. So on the high tide, that's what barnacles do. So that's kind of cool. Within I Am Water, we work around 3 main pillars of our philosophy of change and of conservation. And the first one is education, getting kids from underprivileged environments to experience the ocean and opening their hearts to want to do the right thing. Which is your favorite? Secondly, the awareness raising we do is the incredible imagery, the photos we take. Our videos, our talks reaching further and further and further, and we see the ripple effect.
It's easy to take kind of natural history pictures of sharks or kelp or, you know, whatever, whales and dolphins, but then you put that human element in there and you capture that encounter, and it's such a different image. And I think, yeah, I get excited about that. I want people to be absorbed in the images that we take and put themselves in Hanli's place as that character, and then where they experience whatever reality we were capturing.
It's totally true that a picture says more than 1,000 words, and then getting it out to people, that has a massive impact. Without conservation photography or photography in general, you can't put a face or an image to a problem. And when people see the problem, then they want to do something about it.
Our main advocacy exercise is the work we do through ecotourism, is through taking paying clients to some of the most pristine ocean places around the world, teaching freediving, teaching about the animal you'll get to meet there, and then having those phenomenal experiences.
There's a very scruffy looking penguin. It's busy molting at the moment.
Did you hear that? The baby seals sound like little lambs. Oh. So listen, you'll hear like a meh.
The baby.
Today is like the perfect day to be out at Seal Island and dive with seals. There's 2 tourist boats full of tourists here, people from all over the world who've heard about snorkeling with seals. And it's so great to see that. I mean, I love swimming with seals, and it's so nice to see other people get to experience it as well, because if people don't get to experience this place and see these animals, they wouldn't understand that they're here and that this area needs to be protected.
Growing up, for me, it was like in the apartheid area. So these kind of things it was considered a white sport. You've never heard of a colored kid going seal snorkeling. I always said when I have children one day, I would like to be able to give them this experiences that for me is outside my comfort zone. We venture into it. We dwell beneath the surface, because only once you're beneath the surface you'd see the beauty, because it's not all sharks and scary things. There's beautiful creatures underneath the surface.
People they lose their minds. They're so excited. They can't believe that they can float in this water and just have all these large mammals just interested and wanting to play with them and swim around. And it's almost always the best thing they've ever done on their holiday. It's an incredible, humbling and grounding experience. We keep going as hard as we can to share that passion with everyone.
Once somebody has opened their eyes, seen that beauty, the power, the fragility, the playfulness, and have our hearts broken wide open, we will change our behavior.